All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to dig deep, and yeah, I mean literally, into one of nature's most incredible marvels, the secret life of a seed. You know, this quote really hits it on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures all the hope, all that phenomenal potential that's packed inside every single one of these tiny little packages. A seed. It's really a promise of life, a tiny blueprint for the future. I mean, it really does seem like magic, right? How on earth does something so small hold the power to become something so magnificent, like a giant tree? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and reveal the science behind all that natural magic. And you know what? Our journey starts in a surprisingly beautiful place. Okay, so our story actually begins not in the soil, but somewhere you might find a lot more beautiful and maybe even a little surprising. We're going inside a flower. Think of it like a high-tech factory where this whole process gets started. Yep, that's right. For all their beauty, the vibrant colors, the amazing scents, flowers have a really serious job to do. I mean, they are precision engineered for one purpose, to create the next generation. So, inside this factory, you've got several key players on the team. First, you have the sepals, those green protectors. Then you've got the flashy petals. Think of them as big, colorful billboards designed to attract some help. But the really important parts, the real stars of the show, are the stamen and the pistil, the parts that produce and receive pollen. They're setting the stage for our new seed. Okay, so all our players are in position. It's time for the action to start. This is like the big moment in the movie, the event that kicks off the entire process of creating a seed. So here's the deal. For a new seed to even have a chance, pollen has to make a journey. It has to get from the male part of the flower to the female part. This supercritical transfer is called pollination, and it's a mission that usually needs some outside help. A courier, if you will. Like a busy bee, a gust of wind, or even just a drop of rain. And what's cool is that plants have two main strategies for this. On one hand, you've got some plants that are super self-sufficient. They can actually pollinate themselves, all within the same flower. Then you have others that, well, they kind of play the field. They rely on cross-pollination between different flowers. This helps mix up the gene pool and, a lot of the time, create stronger plants. Okay, so once that pollen successfully completes its journey, bam, we have fertilization. This is it. This is the magical moment, that spark of new life. And after this happens, the flower's job is pretty much done. Its beautiful petals fall away, and it starts this incredible transformation into a fruit. And that fruit, it's basically a protective case for the precious seeds that are now developing inside. All right, so the seed has been created, but it is so much more than just a baby plant. A better way to think about it is like a master traveler, perfectly engineered and packed with its own tiny survival kit, ready for a long, and let's face it, pretty uncertain journey ahead. So let's unpack that little survival kit, shall we? First up, you've got the seed coat. This is its tough, protective armor against, well, everything. Then, inside, you have the cotyledons. This is basically the seed's packed lunch, a super rich food supply to fuel its very first growth spurt. And finally, the most important part of all, the embryo. This is the actual baby plant just hanging out in suspended animation, waiting for the perfect signal to wake up. So the seed has its kit, it's ready to go. But how does it know when it's safe to start growing? How does it get the signal? Well, that brings us to the next amazing chapter in its life, the Great Awakening, a process we call germination. Now, for a seed to wake up, it isn't just a matter of waiting long enough. Nope, it needs a perfect storm of conditions to be just right. And, well, the magic number here is 3. So what is this triple threat a seed is waiting for? It's pretty simple, actually. It needs air, it needs water, and it needs warmth. But it needs all 3, and just the right amounts. Without that perfect combo, the seed will just stay dormant, patiently waiting, sometimes for decades. It's incredible. But once those conditions are met, the wake-up sequence kicks into gear. First, the seed just soaks up water like a little sponge, swelling and swelling until its tough outer coat just cracks open. Then, that little embryo springs to life. It sends roots digging down into the earth to anchor itself and find even more water. And at the same time, the shoot starts pushing up, reaching for the sunlight it desperately needs to start making its own food. Okay, so our seedling is growing. That's great.
But it immediately faces a new problem. See, growing right in the shadow of its parent plant is a really bad idea. They'd just be competing for the same sunlight, the same water, the same nutrients. So our little plant has one last mission to undertake: the Great Escape.
This whole process is called seed dispersal, and it is absolutely critical for the survival of the species. The goal is simple, but it is so vital. Get as far away from the parent plant as you can. You gotta find a new, unclaimed patch of land to call your own. And you know what? Nature has evolved some truly ingenious ways for seeds to travel. It's amazing. You've got seeds like dandelions, which are basically tiny parachutes that use the wind to fly for miles. Then you have others, like the mighty coconut, which are basically little boats floating on ocean currents to find new islands. And so many others are just master hitchhikers, latching onto an animal's fur or, get this, even taking a trip right through its digestive system. It's a perfect example of how different species evolve together. So, when you really trace the whole journey, I mean, from a single tiny grain of pollen to the magic of fertilization, to becoming this perfectly packed little traveler, and then finally setting off on an epic journey, it's just so clear that every single step is part of nature's grand and incredibly intricate plan. It's just such an amazing and powerful process, isn't it? Nature gives us this perfect blueprint for the future, tucked away inside every single seed. And that, well, that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Knowing all the incredible potential that's held inside something so small, what kind of future will you choose to plant?